Hi, and welcome. I'm Anna the Wolfe, a storyteller, and today we find you sitting at the base of a very large sycamore tree, and you're just enjoying the feel of the smooth bark on your back as you sit with your back pressed up against it, and you're just watching the leaves rustle in the breeze, and really just taking some time to sit and think about how the week has gone for you and all of the things that have come to be and all of the things that have yet to become. And as you're sitting there, you hear some noises, some movement in the leaf litter below you, and you can see the soil is moving a little bit just to the right of your right hand that's resting on the ground. And then you can feel it kind of being pushed around your fingers. And you look and you realize it's a gopher. Or at least you think it's a gopher, because there's a little mound of dirt that's being pushed up out from below your hand. And you get closer, and sure enough, out pops a little nose and some flat teeth and very squinty little eyes, and a very dark chocolate brown head emerges, and two fanned out feet, and up comes not a gopher but a mole, and he's completely blind, and he's moving his head back and forth. He says, "This ought to do. This is the right place. This is exactly where I need to be." And you say, "Oh, hi, Mole. I don't think we've been introduced before." And you introduce yourself to Mole, and Mole says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I think I remember you being here at this exact time." And you think, "Well, that's odd. I don't recall having met you." And Mole said, "No, not yet. I'll be a memory in just a minute." And you said, "Well, that's interesting. Thank you." He said, "Well, I need to be here right now, though, because in just a minute, I'm expecting company." And just then, out from the forest walks the most beautiful vixen. She's a gorgeous fox. Her fur is this glossy hue of red. It's got shades of red and burgundy streaked throughout, all the way down to her flame of a tail. And she just looks a little downcast, and she walks over and she says, "Oh, have you ever had one of those days where you just don't quite know what to do?" And you're like, "Yeah, sometimes I've felt that way." And just then, Mole moves some more dirt aside and more dirt to the other side. And he says, "Vixen, did I hear you were ready to learn more about your day?" And the vixen came over and she laid down and said, "Oh, Mr. Mole, it's been ages since I've been to visit you, and I think it's time we visit again. It's that I can't remember anything. I can't really remember the past, and I don't know anything about the future, and I hardly know about this very moment even." Mr. Mole says, I knew it was going to come to this for you, Vixen, that one day your past would be nothing more than a fog, and your future would look about the same. Why don't you join me down in my underground chambers where I keep all of the yesterdays and tomorrows stored?" And she said, Yes, Mole, I'm ready to go see those now. I wasn't last time we talked, but I think I'm ready now." And he widened out the hole, and you could not help, you were so curious, what on earth Mole had down there. And so Vixen slipped down into the chamber, and you followed behind, and you could smell the dampness of earth and all of the roots that you tunneled through, and followed him back and forth until it opened up into a great cavern. And the entirety of the cavern walls was lined in very small shelves, and on it was glistening all different very small bottles, and in them were swirling pictures, and each one held a different view. And Mole said, yes, not that. Yes, here we are. And he reached up and said, Vixen, are you mostly concerned about your past or your future? And the Vixen said, I can't remember anything, any of the days before this day. I can't with any certainty tell you what really happened and what didn't happen. They all seem like I've lost myself in them. And so Mole reached up and grabbed one of the bottles, and in it you could see Vixen running through a field. And then it swirled around and you couldn't see it any longer. And he took the bottle down and he pulled the top off and he held it up to Vixen, and she breathed in the vapors. And she sat looking at one place on the ceiling and said, there I am as a kit. I can smell the greenness of the fillery just emerging from the damp spring earth. And I'm playing with butterflies, little purple, dusty-looking butterflies. And Mole said, yeah, you remember that? She said, yeah, I do remember that day. Wow, can I please have another one? And he pulled down another bottle and he uncorked it, and she breathed in another day from her past. And just as vividly, she said, oh, I can smell the damp rocks. I'm at the shore. And I'm fishing. I'm pulling minnows out of the shore's edge. And they're crunchy and salty and delicious. And wow. And then you turned and you asked, Mole, are all of the days like this stored? And Mole says, yes, every day is stored. Every single day. And Vixen said, they're so ordinary. There's nothing exceptional about these at all. No wonder I forgot them. And Mole said, we have so many of these ordinary days that they are extraordinary, aren't they? And she thought about it and she said, but what about the bad ones? He said, oh, they're there too. They're all stored here, but there's so few of them compared to the ordinary. I'm sure I could root around if you want one of your bad days, you know, the one where there was a pit trap you accidentally fell in. I remember that day. She said, no, I don't think I need help remembering that, actually. I remember my bad days just fine. It's these ordinary days I seem to have lost track of. And then she thought, she said, you know, maybe I would like to see one of my future days, Mole. Can I see a future day? And Mole very wisely said, that is something that very few are able to see. Even if I were to uncork one of those bottles for you, it would be very, very hard for you to be able to visualize. The best thing you can do is send yourself a gift today and put it in a future bottle. And she thought about it and she thought, oh my goodness, what I would love to give myself in the future. I know. I'm going to give myself instructions on how to find the best minnows. And she whispered it into a bottle and put a cork on it and stuck it on the shelf so that the next time she needed to remember something incredible, it would be waiting for her, and her future self would be able to thank her for today and what she had done. And Mole kept all of the yesterdays and all of the tomorrows, and they were not in any particular order on these shelves, as all of the days do not follow any sort of order other than of our choosing. And I hope this day finds you in a beautiful place, or at least a quiet, contemplative place, where all of your yesterdays and all of your tomorrows can fit together neatly. And I wish you a very, very happy day. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.